Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to FOBtv, the future of business. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict, and I'm a futurist and lecturer here at TCS, and we're going to have so much fun today. Today, we're going to turn up the heat and talk about the role and future of human recovery and happiness and sauna culture. So this is going to be unique. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be a deep dive into a topic I've never had the opportunity to dig deep into. And to help us accomplish all that, I want to introduce Linda Helisto. Linda, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let me just give you a little bit of background of Linda. She's an economist. She's a sociologist. She's from Finland, living in Canada. And we'll just leave it at that, and we're going to have so much fun here again. So where are you calling in from today?
I'm actually calling in from the side of a mountain.
Really?
So, yes. So I have the absolute privilege of living in one of the most amazing places in BC, looking down the Fraser Valley and having the ancient trees and the rainforest just, on my backyard.
Oh, that's amazing. So now you're from Finland, and Finland doesn't have a lot of mountains,
No.
Right? You have a lot of hills.
Yes, and fjords, if you may.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to Lapland. But yes, that's something that I found myself missing. When I was still living in Finland, I was always missing the mountains. I was missing the ocean. I was missing the forest and the ravens and the bears and, the wilderness.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have wild spaces and wild places in Finland, but it's something different here in Canada, especially in BC.
So you're also the founder of the West Coast Sauna Summit, and you just completed that like a week or two ago, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. You would have loved it. So we built a sauna village on a mountainside next to a mountain lake, and we had 11 saunas. We were having 80 people plus on the benches at the same time. We had people flying from Finland, from UK, all across the US, and all of the Canadian provinces. And for 4 days, we bathed together, we swam together, we talked sauna business together, and we talked about the future of sauna culture here in North America.
Well, the future of sauna culture is one of the key topics I want to talk to you about. And so before we do that, though, so you're from Finland, and again, we've talked about it here a number of times. Finland consistently is ranked the happiest country in the world, and they've done that for 8 straight years. It's a United Nations ranking and survey, and then they come out with the results 8 straight years. And Finland is probably one of the most sauna-friendly and culturally important. Saunas are so culturally important to Finland.
Like as a Finn now living here in Canada, looking into sauna and sauna culture, I really do believe that we have something special there. Especially where I lived before moving in here, I lived in Tampere, and Tampere is named like it's the sauna capital of the world. And what is unique is that yes, we had a sauna at our own place, but we still went outside to these old public saunas and just hang out, sauna together, and went swimming in the lake and had sauna sausages afterwards. And I never really realized how unique these places in Rauhaniemi or Kaukajärvi or how unique places these are from a social perspective, from a community perspective. It was only after I moved to Canada, to Vancouver. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to your question about happiness and sauna, I do believe that sauna has a special place when it comes to whole human well-being and thriving communities and happy communities and healthy communities.
And Linda, I wanted to invite you to this program, to our show, because of this perspective. Because one of the huge challenges that we're facing with just incredible new cycles of innovation and technology that we're all exposed to, we seem to be losing our happiness with all of this going on. There's a phrase called the human assumption mismatch. And what that means is that we assume that humans are going to be able to keep up with the processing speed of technology, and we can't. None of us can memorize the kinds of things AI has. None of us are the level of a polyintelligent being like AI, which can know everything about everything and can do it in a nanosecond. Humans can't do that. So we're finding frustration, we're finding challenges in this new world. And maybe sauna culture can offer something to humanity to help with that.
Yes, yes. I was just actually having a conversation with a dear friend. She is a creative director as well as a photographer, Olga Poppius, and she's also a Buddhist. And her perspective, she does a lot of work with AI. Also, as well as really traditional photography. And she gave me the perspective of the faster the technology seems to, or the technologies that we use, AI being only one of them, being developing, and it's going to be faster and faster. And that's just the nature of technologies.
Right. So one of the mirrors that technology holds up in front of us is we look at it and says, what does it mean to be human? Right. And when we look at machines that are so capable, so powerful, so extraordinary, we look at that and say, well, what role's left for humans? And we call it human capacity. And it's the capacity, which makes us unique. Uniquely human would be like judgment, ethics, empathy, creativity, narrative, relational trust. These kinds of things are uniquely human. So we can stand next to the biggest supercomputers, and that's what's going to define humanity. But in order for us to do those things well, in other words, be viable as humans and to have that human capacity, we need to create some guardrails. Like humans want to be able to understand their environment and why things happen. It makes us feel grounded and solid if we know why things are happening. We need the capacity to actually take action. We need to feel that we belong and that the world is fair around us and that our lives and our work have meaning and that there's identity continuity, which just means I want to know who I am. And I want to know who my family was, my ancestors, etc. I want to be part of something. I want that identity to continue. But we're being challenged every single day by this new technology. And so the word is, how do we remain viable as humans in this crazy world?
We had during West Coast Sauna Summit. So we are Canada's first sauna industry event. We bring together sauna operators, sauna builders, wellness pioneers, community builders, designers, architects. In the future, I hope we can have these conversations also including developers, legislators, and having just building the larger, bringing people together from the larger ecosystem.
Yeah.
And we had this amazing talk by Azar. She has a platform called Humans Who Bathe. And she introduced sauna as a social infrastructure and as a methodology for resilience building resilient communities. And she went into things like power, resistance, and how social and physiological well-being are important for building resilient communities. And the reason why I'm giving this out here is because you touched all those topics. You were talking about trust, you were talking about connection, you're talking about identity, and the spaces that the sauna as a space, like own it. I know that sauna, we're talking about the recovery and trends and the great studies.
So walk us through. So for those who haven't been around sauna culture, what would be a typical experience? So is it a built-in room? Is it out in the yard? Is it by the lake? What is it? How do you heat the place up? Do you put steam in? Do you turn on infrared? What is involved in that?
So my perspective comes obviously because I am the byproduct. I was born and raised in Finland. We've always had a sauna in all of the houses that we've lived in. Okay. We also have a cottage, a family cottage where we have sauna. And so sauna has as you know, there are more saunas than cars in Finland. It's yes, we would have infrared saunas at the gym. But when I'm looking at the sauna experience, the main thing is the load, throwing the water on the rocks.
Yes.
So the steam, throwing the water on the rocks.
So you get some pine wood, you build a fire, you heat everything up. Yep. It heats the rocks. You have a bucket of water, you have a ladle, you can pour the water on it.
Yes. And at the place where we lived before moving in here, we would have a instantly ready sauna stove, which means that it was electric stove. It was always ready, and you just opened up the lid and it was ready to go.
Oh, awesome.
So it was quite now looking back, I'm thinking having the access to so many different types of saunas and just saunaing whenever I want to.
So in a world obsessed with productivity, saunas, they really seem intentionally unproductive.
I love
What's the significance of that? And what do you think that contributes to perhaps happiness?
I think happiness is a thing that comes as a byproduct through our ability to be present. Live in the present moment and be connected not only to our body, what's going in our bodies, but also emotions and sensations. And the power of sauna from this perspective for me is that it invites us to actually witness what's going on in our bodies in a different way. Because when you're sensing the extreme heat or the sweat or
the ice plunge,
the increase, the increase of your heart just starts pounding different, and you know that you're safe and it's good for you, and we're doing hard things together. I think that's sauna is inviting us to get rid of timers or clocks and just coming into our bodies, what's going on and sensing, and that is so good for us. That's like a pause with the over analyzing, constantly monitoring inner talk that we tend to have, because we are imposed to these fast technologies and these platforms, and we are spending majority of our time looking at screens.
Oh yeah.
So that affects our physiology, and what happens in the body happens also in the mind. So when we step into these places and spaces that are giving us the opportunity to, hey, let's slow down and let's turn inwards. It's actually really, it's like taking a pause from the fastness of these technologies that we've been talking about, that the world that they're inviting us. And it's okay, this is me. I'm here. All is good.
At the gym today, I was just kind of scanning across the large room, and I was looking at all the sensors. Everybody's kind of measuring, and they have their iPhone. They go from one exercise station to the other, and they're entering their data. and they have their wearables of all different kinds so they can monitor their performance, and they have the fancy weights so you can also look at your body mass index and all these kinds of things. And then I compare it to a quiet, heated sauna experience, and those are different things. And I guess if you put a sauna in the hands of an American innovator, they would also want to add all those metrics to the sauna.
Yeah, but also I think this is a cultural conversation too, because like when you were asking about my sauna experience, I don't have any infrared lights. It's, all of the saunas that like these private spaces.
Yeah.
Within our family and the spaces and the places that I've lived.
Yes.
Rather simple. It's been about good heat and good build. Because like sturdy, good builds, like you have good wood, you have a good heater, and you have good rocks.
Yeah.
Good ventilation, that the sauna experiences is pleasant for you. And I've never seen I understand why people would like to let's add the, red light therapy aspect into this, and let's build this and this and this. But for me, sauna has always been a space of, what can we take away? Like just, what's the core and what's the simplest in a way. And the experience has been very much being guided by the sound of the cracking wood, the smell that comes from from the places where you can have burning, because here in Canada, even in Vancouver, when you think of the regulations, where can you actually have a wood burning sauna? But for me, as a Finn, it has always come to sensing the sauna and being present in a different way. And you talked about these sensors and inviting different technologies into the sauna experience, and also maintenance of the sauna and designing these sauna spaces. Maybe we're actually talking about two different things right here, because when we're talking about wearables, and I know people love to know their data. Did you see the report that came from Oura last year about the countries where people were measuring their sauna information, the countries where people were wearing Oura to sauna the most?
So the Oura, the ring.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it was fascinating because it was just ranking these different countries, and yes, Finland was really high up, but so was UK, Canada, the US. I think there was even New Zealand on the list. So people are intrigued by these spaces because of how it can affect our physical well-being, our recovery, our just overall well-being. And I think monitoring and having wearables, that's oh, I want to know. And that's the first step, when I'm looking from a cultural perspective. But once you take sauna and make it your own, I find that, you can still have your wearables, but it's less about, I want to, see how this affects my data and optimizing things. It comes to, oh, this is what I need now. Oh, do I want to go with the really, really intense steam? No, I'm actually it's my cycle is at that part of the month, so I will take it slow. I feel like my body's, I've been going through a lot of stress. So maybe how we take these and make these spaces our own also changes as the culture develops.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm listening to this and I'm just thinking, saunas can be an important component of a human system for maintenance to maintain our humanity. Because as we started out with, as machines around us become more and more capable, we have to focus in on what makes us human. And that's, again, judgment, ethics, empathy, creativity, narrative, relational trust. So how do we maintain those things, those aspects that make us humane and human? And I think we need to focus more and more then on what makes us viable as humans, how to treat ourselves better, how to make sure that those areas are available to us and we're not letting technology impose itself on us and, making our life less quality, the lesser quality. That's what I'm pondering here. And with this acceleration of innovation and technology, we need to treat our bodies and our humanity better than we have in the past.
And I think sauna it can be a radical act in a way that, because when you come to these spaces that are introducing and inviting a different way for you to relate to yourself and to the people around you, it's also challenging how you look at your relationship with technology. And it's also, I'm seeing more and more people intentionally introducing more activities in the now. We're talking about knitting, listening to vinyls, something that people would think like, oh, like the hobbies that your grandmother used to have. Because the feeling that comes from when you've been doom scrolling or when you've been spending too much working on your laptop, the sense of emptiness, the sense of disconnection. And because we are the biological mechanisms in us, we need to be in the nature. We need to be walking in the forest. We need to have social connections. We were born from the nature. We are of the nature. So this idea that that we do have biological needs, like it's something that's built into us, into what do we need to thrive? What do we need to blossom as human beings? And I think sauna is a fascinating study on this because it introduces this idea of community, social wellness, and also pausing that you can see. Because when you pause, you have the ability to actually see the larger picture. That the faster you're going, the smaller and the tighter is the lens that you're looking through. And in this time and age, I think our ability to see and our skills and the ways that we can teach ourselves more and more to pause and to ground and to see and look around us, like that's the powerful act.
We haven't even got to the ice plunge part of this discussion. We'll save that to another time. Linda, I want to thank you so much for just sharing your experience, your background, your culture as a Finn. Welcome to North America.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, not the best of times, but wow. Welcome. And thank you for sharing the whole idea of that pause, that reflective pause that's good for you, your community, and everything else, because in this age of accelerating technology and artificial things, artificial intelligence, artificial everything, being grounded by nature and quiet is a good thing. Thank you very much, Linda, for being part of us.
Thank you, Kevin.